Hello, this is Niswander. You're watching the NOWMAN show, and my guest right now is Francesco Lupica, who is a musician based out of California. And he's played in numerous bands, including Shanti. He's now a solo artist. He made an album called The Cosmic Beam Experience. Since that time, he's performed many live shows. He's had his music as in sound design as well as additional music in films such as Terrence Malick's The Thin Red Line, also the winner of the Palme d'Or Award at the Cannes Film Festival in 2011 for the film Tree of Life with Brad Pitt and Sean Penn. There's been sound effects with the Cosmic Beam Experience in films such as Star Trek The Motion Picture, and most recently, you can hear his music in Martin Scorcese's Silence and also Jordan Vogt-Roberts' Kong Skull Island. Here is Francesco Lupica and the Cosmic Beam Experience right now. Francesco.
Yes.
Wow, the cosmic beam experience. There's an incredible story here. So let's go back to the beginning. Okay. So
Okay.
when did you first discover music and where was that?
Maple Heights, Ohio.
So that's
outside of Cleveland.
Okay.
It's about 10 miles southwest. I grew up in an immigrant family, old world Sicilian.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, lived on a farm, kind of,
Cool.
And we had, back east, everyone has a basement. It's like a second universe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lived in many of them,
and especially in the winter, everyone comes to the basement. I was fortunate. My dad played mandolin and guitar.
Great.
There was a piano in the basement. And also, about 5 or 6 years old, I heard music. I turned my head and go, there's nothing there, but I heard music, especially orchestra music.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister also had a good ear for music, so I found myself listening to Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, Jerry Lee Lewis, Louis Prima. I remember I would mimic a lot of great singers, just emotionally become them.
Did you have a favorite?
Little Richard.
Little Richard.
Little Richard rock and Louis Prima.
Louis Prima.
Just
Hot.
Yeah, just a gigolo.
Yeah,
everywhere I go, people know the part I play.
Yeah, exactly. So here in LA, or in your first, let's say, band here in California, tell us about that.
Well, when I got out of the Navy, from San Diego, we got booted up to San Francisco, Hunters Point.
Oh.
And when I got out, I made it a point to move into North Beach.
Mm-hmm.
I moved into a musician's hotel.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It was all, and I changed my ID, my discharge papers, so I could get into this one club called the Peppermint Lounge.
Oh, wow.
And eventually became friends with the doorman and Al, the manager, and they knew me by sight, so I didn't have to keep showing my altered ID. And I let it be known I'm a drummer. Even though I didn't have a set of drums, I always let it be known.
Right.
And long story short, made friends with musicians, and then one day I ran into this gentleman, Ruben, who was a guitar player, and I was walking down Broadway to check out the clubs, and Ruben sees me, says, Frank, I got this job for you. We got to shave that beard, put on a suit. We got a job for you. And okay, back in those days, all right. So I did everything he said. I went and I met this interesting guy who owned it's called the Off-Broadway. Ruben played in a great band. And I became the light man for a Topless Review. And the sideshow was the band. And I started making some money, and I put a set of drums on layaway, and long story short, the owner was Italian. I almost sometimes feel very Italian, a little mob or something. Something was going on, but he liked me. He sized me up. And so one day, after about 2 months of working there, I come into work early, and he goes, "Hey, Francesco, I hear you're buying a set of drums." "How do you know I'm buying a set of drums?" He says, "I know everything, Francesco. How much do you need?" "Well, I need $200. Oh, pulls out a big wad of money, gives me $200.
Wow.
And just go buy your drums. And it's like, wow. My dad never did that. And here's this total stranger who doesn't have to do this, playing. He's my father figure.
Yep.
And I have to tell you, it was very emotional, And I went and bought my drum set. Now, here's the fun part. Now, all of you out there in dreamland and wanting to make a career of music, if you really have pure intent, because I'm proof of it in this particular story I'm telling you, my intent was so pure that someone is giving me the money to go get my drum kit, and then that night I'm getting ready for work, and there's this pounding on my door. Frank, open the door, open the door. And I open the door, and it's Ruben. "We can't find our drummer. He disappeared. We need you to play drums tonight." And
so you were playing in the sideshow band?
Yeah,
at the club.
the side act. I'm doing the lights for a Topless Review.
Yeah.
And then there's this band playing, really good band. And suddenly, and I said, "Well, Ruben, I don't have cymbals." "Oh, don't worry, we'll get you cymbals." And there I was, playing with this killer band. I hadn't played since I was in the Navy, but I knew all the songs because every time they played, I'm listening and watching.
Right.
And someone in the audience saw me playing and knew I was a temp, and they approached me and said, "Hey, we're putting a band together, an outdoor go-go in Clear Lake. You want to join us?" I went, "Sure." And that was the beginning of my music career. And so that led to Sly Stone being our producer. I met Sly and playing in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and then we came to Hollywood with a band called Us. I have a photo of that. I'll show you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we ended up playing at the Jesse James's London Fog on the Sunset Strip. In fact, I actually lived there, and I remember we hired the Doors to play there, and then as a few months go by, the band broke up mysteriously.
So, Shanti.
So Shanti happened when I had produced my first LP on my own in Santa Barbara, and when it was all done, I called a friend of mine, Michael Collender, in L.A., and I said, "Hey, I did my first LP. I'm coming to Hollywood." And he says, "Oh man, I'm going to a wedding, and the guy's the producer. Come, and I'll introduce you." So I went to the wedding, and I met Richard Bach. And so long story short, Richard signed me. I'll never forget when he heard my music. He goes, "I like you. I will sign you." Gives me a hug, and we're in business. So as time goes on, he says, "I want you to come to this concert at the Wilshire Bell. We're going to go hear some Indian music." And that's when I first live heard classical Indian music. Zakir Hussain, Ashish Khan, Pranesh Khan, and oh my goodness, I was swept away. And to shake Zakir's hand was really amazing. Like, wow, I've never seen anybody do what you can do on two little drums. I couldn't get the sound out of my head. And I called Richard and I said, "Richard, I have this song I wrote. You think they'll play on it?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, actually, they want you to play on a song George Harrison wrote." And I went, "Great."
George Harrison
wrote this song for Ashish and Zakir to perform. And they needed Western musicians to pull it off. And I'm asking for classical Indian musicians to play on my piece. So there we were in Silver Lake in a recording studio. And Richard, the producer, is in the engineering room, and he's going, "Oh my God, it's working. East meets west, west meets west." So he comes into the room and says, "Okay, guys, time for you to give up your egos. We're starting a band.
Great.
And we're going to call it Fresh Air." And of course, my first reaction was, that's kind of a lame name for a band. At the time. And I said, let's call it Shanti. That's more appropriate.
Right, for the
Absolutely.
music. Right.
And you know what's ironic? My fellow musician friends, we're all meditators, and we're all vegan. And I remember when we
vegan back then.
Yeah, we were vegan.
Wow.
And here we are in this band, and there's Ashish, Zakir, and Pranesh eating Big Macs or Jack in the Box, listening to the Rolling Stones.
That's funny. Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow, we're so eager to be Indian and meditate and play this music. But it was quite an amazing marriage. And let it be known, Richard was so excited. He got us signed to Atlantic Records.
Wow.
Armin Erdogan signed us.
Wow.
But Richard was a little impatient because he saw the magic.
Yeah.
East meets West, and it worked.
That's
With
right.
melody, you could dance, and lyrics.
That's
it
right.
wasn't just music.
That's right.
It was all the above.
It worked very well.
That he went a little too quick in recording an LP. He should have waited another year, because a year later we understood the dynamic and the math. The math of classical Indian music is amazing. Anyways, but we did what we did, the best we could. But then that band broke up. And that was like, you got to be kidding me. Really? I said to myself, no more bands. And then when Shanti broke up, I retreated. I moved back to Santa Barbara. I was living in a tool shed. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? And there I am in meditation. Cosmic beam experience.
So that just came to you as kind of
came to me, what you see in my room.
Yeah. Your construction skills were put to work with a musical instrument.
Well, now I have a mentor, so let it be known. People go, "Oh, you invented." I didn't invent anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you have the Beatles or the Stones or Pink Floyd. They invented a sound. Pink Floyd didn't invent a guitar. They invented themselves.
Exactly.
A sound.
Their vision.
Their approach to
right.
the math of their music, or
Mm-hmm.
the equation of the Beatles,
Exactly.
or the harmonies of the Beach Boys. And when I had this vision, it included instruments that I experienced on my journey.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I invented the Cosmic Beam Experience show, but the instruments in the show I didn't invent.
That's right.
So I need to clarify that with my audience.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Francesco invented this instrument. No, it's this way. Harry Parch, he was a magic man with harmonics and unusual instruments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And apparently he inspired my mentor, John Lazelle, to make string instruments. So the original name of the instrument itself is called the drone.
Oh, really?
Yes.
D-R-O-N-E.
I don't know what Harry Parch called his versions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my knowledge is Harry Parch, John Lazelle, my mentor, and Francesco. My job was to bring it to the world, because that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I put this show together, the Cosmic Beam Experience,
Mm-hmm.
and the word got out, suddenly lots of famous people started showing up at my concerts. I gave a live performance with the Cosmic Beam show in Westwood, the Craft Fair, Westwood, in front of the Fox Theater.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh boy, that was
What year was that?
That was 1975
Wow.
or 76, one of those 2 years, 75 I think. And long story short, at the end of my shows, I would always announce, if you like what you heard, I have a mailing list. So at the end of the day, I'd look at my mailing list, and there's a whole page. Hi, I'm Paul Hensler, Francis Coppola Cinema 7. Please call us. I think your music's perfect for this film project.
Wow.
And I went, wow. So I called the next day, and it turns out that they're doing a movie, Apocalypse Now.
Fantastic.
And Paul says, can you put a presentation together?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And of course I went, yes. And I was also recording my LP at the Beach Boys studio. So I called Stephen. I said, hey, Stephen, they want me to audition for Apocalypse Now film. And simultaneously, my good friend Dale Pelton, he had told me about the people putting on an event in the afternoons at St. Paul's Cathedral, and that I should go and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this came within a 2-week period.
Wow.
And so I called the folks downtown, St. Paul's Cathedral, and the guy was so friendly. He says, oh, yes, you can use my place for your audition.
Wow.
So the interesting thing is, that audition ended up becoming my LP,
Wow.
the Cosmic Beam version.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is, back then, I was young, naive, and the film industry came knocking at my door.
Yes.
I had no agent, no manager, no one watching my back.
Yeah.
So Francesco is handing his life works to these people,
Yeah.
and there's no follow-up.
Yeah.
So I gave them a whole slew of music and never heard from them again.
Wow.
So Apocalypse came out, and I'm going, wow, really? And guess whose names are in the movie, but not mine?
I don't
Zakir
know.
Hussain, Mickey Hart.
Oh, really?
And it's like, wow, really? And I wasn't included.
Wow.
My music was, but I wasn't.
Wow.
And another short story going into the future, that exact same tape that I gave Apocalypse Now and brought to Zerotrope Studios
Right.
in Hollywood,
Right.
I was bringing back 20 years later for guess what film? The Thin Red Line.
And that's Terrence Malick, who
And
you
that's
worked
Terrence
with
Malick,
extensively.
yes. I get a letter from a gentleman, Terrence Malick,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, I heard your music and I think it's perfect for film. I'd like to meet you. And of course, I don't know who Terrence Malick is.
Yeah.
And so I went, and it was in Venice.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, just a few years ago, I found out how he really met me. Was him and Billy Weber, the editor, were walking down the Venice Boardwalk over by Windward, and they heard me playing the Cosmic Beam
Oh, really? Down there on the beach?
on the beach. So apparently that's how I got the letter. wanting for him to want to meet me. I think your music's perfect for film.
Great.
So I met Terry and his crew at a post-production meeting. And wow, I was pinching myself. Like, wow, I'm finally with my peers, and there's no egos in this room.
That's fantastic.
Really cool.
Really
Very
important,
cool. Yeah.
too.
And I got an advance for a untitled Terrence Malick project, Paramount Pictures.
Wow.
And of course, I'm in seventh heaven going, wow, the Beam's going to be in a film. And long story short, Terry disappeared for 20 years.
20 years?
20 years. And I would run into Terry about every 4 or 5 years, and he'd always go, Francesco, be patient. I haven't forgotten you. We're going to do something. And then, of course, okay, someday. Now, another 5 years go by, and I was living in Encino, and that house got sold. I had nowhere to go, and I had a friend who owned a building on Ventura Boulevard, and I approached him. I said, you've seen my show. Can I put the Beam in your building? And he hem and hawed, and, well, I got to get money and stuff. And okay, I'll start a spiritual nightclub. And, okay, good. We'll go 50-50, and everyone's happy. And he went, great. Yeah. But on one condition. If I sell the building, you got 2 weeks to get out. And, of course, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, it's been empty for almost 4 or 5 years. I'm going to at least get 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So we put all this energy and everything into this building. Long story short, too, no one knew I was living there.
Oh, wow.
So I put a TV in my office, which was also my little bedroom. Now, you plug in a TV in, but no image. Guess what the first 4 words, sound, came out of the image?
What was that?
Red line Terrence Malick. I mean, come on. What are the odds? I plug in a TV, no image, but red line Terrence Malick. My first reaction was, oh, wow, Terry must be in town. And I went, oh, cool. But I was in the throes of putting the spiritual nightclub together. So I basically forgot about it. I went, oh, Terry's in town. So the club was a success. It was really lovely.
What was the name
beautiful. It was called the Inner Sanctum.
Great.
And it was my audience was 16 to 30. It's a spiritual nightclub,
Yeah.
non-alcohol based.
Great.
I had 2 in-house psychics, the smoothie bar, all these nooks and crannies, really cool, and the sound system. And anyways, long story short, I get the phone call. Francesco, you got 2 weeks to get out. And I'm like, really? Oh my God. And this is funny. I'm broke. I have nowhere to go. My truck is broke, and I got 4,000 square feet of stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was really depressed. It's like, come on, universe, give me a break here.
Right.
So that voice that told me to join the Navy, after about a 3-day funk, I'm resting. Oh, Terrence Malick. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Terry. I called the agent. Oh, he's at Warner Burbank. I call Warner. No, he's at Warner Hollywood. Finally, I get to Warner Hollywood. May I speak to Terrence Malick? And who's calling? I go, Francesco. And really, this is Francesco on? Yeah, it's Francesco. Really, this is Francesco? And I'm like going, what's going on? And then I hear her say, oh my God, he's not going to believe it. I heard her say that. And she gets on the phone. How do you know we were looking for you for 5 months? And I went, I didn't know you were looking for me. Yeah, Terry thought maybe you were in jail, so we just hired a private detective. He even listened to that guy Craig Huxley's Beam music. He went, no, I want Francesco. Cosmic Beam, find him. I get on the phone with Terry.
Yeah.
Francesco, is the Beam set up? And I go, yeah, but you got to come this weekend. I got to move out of here. Okay, I'm bringing everybody.
Wow.
And he came. He brought, and also Douglas Trumbull called me up in that period. After I had found out Terry's coming to my studio, Douglas Trumbull shows up at my place. And oh my goodness, because I had told Doug, I've now got the Beam set up. Come and visit if you're ever on the West Coast, because he's in Boston now, in the country.
Wow.
Long story short, Doug shows up, and hey, Doug, I want to meet that guy, Terrence Malick. Can I come too? And I went, yes, this Saturday. So Doug Trumbull asks if he could come, and I said, absolutely. So Hans Zimmer, Grant Hill, Terry's production company, all these people. And it was perfect because I had this amazing showcase place. So a lesson in life. sometimes when you think one thing you're working really hard to make something happen.
Something else actually
but
happens.
Really, those 4 months were for that one night.
Right. Right.
And because I was completely broke, I had nowhere to go.
Wow.
No, literally, and I have 4,000 square feet of stuff. What am I going to do? So it was a stellar night.
Wow.
You know, it was a total success. And of course, I had to move out of the building. And the film was The Thin Red Line.
Excellent.
And
that was just the beginning of working with him.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of being now in 7 of Terrence's films.
One which is actually won an award at Cannes Film Festival.
Oh yeah, the Tree of Life
that had
won
Brad
the Palme
Pitt
d'Or.
and Sean Penn in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2011.
Mm-hmm.
The New World, To the Wonder, Knight of Cups, most recent, The Voyage of Time, and as of last week, Song to Song.
Which you just found out about.
Yeah, with Michael Fassbender, Kate Blanchett, Natalie Portman, Ryan Gosling.
That's fantastic.
And so yes.
Now, what films get sound effects using the cosmic beam that you know of?
Star Trek: The Motion Picture is sound effects.
Yeah, yeah.
And then recently additional music for Kong, Skull Island.
Yes, and that's
That just happened.
Jordan Vogt-Roberts.
Vogt-Roberts. And a dear friend of mine, UC, made that connection for me.
That's fantastic. So what's happening next for you? What's the next project you're working on?
Well, I'm looking for a sponsor to take the cosmic beam to resurrect it.
Yes.
And update my gear and get ready to tour the globe.
That's fantastic.
It's been a long time dream of mine to play all the piazzas and the cathedrals and beautiful natural landmarks and because the beam sounds amazing in a cathedral or in a canyon.
Going on tour, that sounds like maybe the making of a new movie.
Yeah, that would be great to document it and
Yeah.
the people that I get to meet and there's something magic
Because it's a cosmic beam experience.
Yeah, I'm really honored. I really am, because when I perform the beam, I get to meet the most interesting people.
Yes.
To show up at my doorstep.
Francesco, this has been great. Thank you so much for being on the NOWMAN show. This is Niswander, and you've been watching the NOWMAN show with my great guest, Francesco Lupica, and you've been watching it right now.
Yes. There's nothing like now.